Hello people of YouTube, I'm Gavin and welcome back to another video, where today's topic of discussion is going to be my favorite guy. That's it, just my favorite guy, Ben Shapiro. Now, overall, he's a pretty smart guy, but when it comes to LGBTQ+ issues, he's not very knowledgeable. I've seen many of his debates with college students on his YouTube channel, where they're usually titled with the words destroyed and owned, when in fact quite the opposite is true. Which brings me to my first point: his audience. His audience is like blindly loyal to him. They don't really listen to his actual arguments and use their critical thinking skills if they have any. A lot of the times he says stuff but he doesn't say anything. Like, he talks but he doesn't say anything. He uses his speed, his quick talking and buzzwords in order to grab the attention of his audience. Like, these words include propaganda, indoctrination, and in the video I'm about to show you, young children or small children or 4 to 5-year-olds, which it's just, he sounds like a robot in this video. He just repeats himself over and over, which is why I'm not going to be going through the whole entire video, even though it's only like 10 minutes long. I will, however, go through some of the major points he makes and offer up some rebuttals.
If you believe that the radical left isn't after your children, you're ignoring the fact that they very, very clearly are after your children. So Nickelodeon actually broadcast, I'm not kidding you, a video from a drag queen named Nina West. And forgive my unfamiliarity, this is not a world in which I generally traffic. The drag queen Nina West performed an original song about the meaning of the rainbow pride flag for small children. Because again, Nickelodeon is directed at small children. It is not directed at teens. It is not directed at adults. It is directed at small children. And so we are going to now indoctrinate children into the wonders of various sexual orientations and the complete moral relativity of human sexuality. And we're going to do this to like 4 and 5-year-olds. Because confusing children is what people are in the business of doing.
So first off, confusing children should not be a factor in whether or not you should teach children about something, because that's how learning works. Whenever you learn something for the first time, whenever you know about something, whenever you are taught something for the first time, like mathematics, many children are confused by math. So should we not teach them that? Whether or not something is confusing should not determine if we should teach it or not.
Because confusing children is what people are in the business of doing. Because if you can confuse children, and if you can tell them that true glory lies in how you identify on the inside, as opposed to, complying with basic societal norms, not with regard to even sexuality, but with regard to just decent human behavior.
Complying with societal norms is not inherently correlated to decent human behavior. Like, morality differs from person to person, and just because it doesn't fit your version of what morality is, does not mean it should not be taught in schools, does not mean it should be legislated to ban these subjects from school. There's nothing detrimental about teaching children about different sexualities and to accept certain people, irrespective of their sexuality or like their sexual orientation or gender or identity. There's nothing detrimental about that. Basic respect is what we should be teaching children, and that's all that the drag queen is teaching about, is singing about, as you'll see in this video.
Just decent human behavior. Right? As in not sexualizing children.
What does teaching children about like sexuality or identity have to do with sexualizing children? It's not, there's no correlation there.
Well, then that apparently is bad. You're not supposed to do that, right? There is no way to discuss gay pride without coming into conflict, when you're coming to discuss this with children, without coming into conflict with the reality, which is that it is a sexual orientation, which implies sex. Which implies you now have to discuss sex with small children.
That's just completely false. You can talk about attraction to children. You can talk about sexual orientation without talking about sex. Just because sex is in the word sexual orientation does not mean it is inherently about sexual activity. Like, for example, let's say I have a kid beside me. Let's say I have a child, and I'm teaching them about the different sexual orientations. And different identities. Like, for example, let me just show you how I would do it. Hey Timmy, you know how mommy and daddy love each other? Well, a guy and a girl can love each other a guy and a guy can love each other like that too. And a girl and a girl can love each other like that as well. This isn't teaching anything perverse or inherently sexual. It's attraction.
So you get a lecture on the gay pride flag by a man dressed as a woman. And this is going out to 4 and 5-year-olds. This is woke indoctrination of small children on sexual matters. Don't tell me that that isn't abuse of children. It is. It is mass abuse of children.
Jesus Christ, you sound like Tucker Carlson when he was talking about masks.
Your response when you see children wearing masks as they play should be no different from your response to seeing someone beat a kid in Walmart. Call the police immediately. Contact Child Protective Services.
You know, he said that putting masks on children is child abuse. Holy crap. I'm sorry to have to compare you to Tucker Carlson. He's just terrible, but oh my god, it just sounds... That point was absolutely ridiculous. It is not even related to child abuse. Just because you disagree with the subject does not mean it is child abuse to teach them subjects you disagree with.
If somebody came into your house and started doing this to your child without your consent, you would immediately call the cops. Okay, I'm not talking about like physically abusing the child. I'm talking about if an adult came into your house, a man dressed as a woman came into your house and started singing to your child about the wonders of various sexual orientations, and your kid's 5, you would call the cops.
If any person, no matter how they were dressed, what gender they were, what subject they were teaching about, I don't care if they were teaching about the ABCs, if someone came into my house without my permission and started talking to my children, of course I would call the police. It doesn't matter what they're wearing or what they're teaching about. If someone talks to my child out of the blue, of course, and they go into my house for no reason, without me telling them they can, that's trespassing, breaking and entering. And it could also be child endangerment, because they broke into my house in the first place. It doesn't matter what they're teaching. Also, I like how he just says a man dressed as a woman, like he's insinuating that a man dressed that way is like a creep or a predator or something like that. That's what I draw from that. And before you begin saying, oh, you're just making assumptions, I'm using my comprehension skills, and based on this, that's what it seems like he's insinuating. Because why else would he mention what they're wearing or their sex?
Doesn't it just fill you with pride, showing who you are on the inside? Wave that pride flag up high, be true to you. Happy Pride, everyone! Yeah!
It fills you with pride, showing who you are on the inside.
How does he have a problem with this message? The whole message of this video, of that video, was just be yourself. That's literally the entire message of that video, of that small clip that he played. Actually, wait a minute. He's a conservative, so of course he'd have a problem with that. Yeah, conservatives do have a track record of not really liking when people are just being themselves. You know, they have an issue with men dressing however they want, i.e. in a dress. You know, they have a problem with people identifying however they want to identify. They just have a problem with people doing what they want, even if it doesn't affect them at all. Also, I noticed something. They were waving a flag while someone was saying, I'm proud of who I am. I wonder who else does that, Ben? Oh wait, it's America.
And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
You know, Ben Shapiro is a nationalist, so he supports, like, standing for the flag and all that, blind loyalty to a country that children barely even know about. I'm sure children don't even know what, children of that age that he's talking about, like 4 to 5, don't even know what nationalism or even a country is. And even more hypocrisy, he supports religious schools, which is literally religious indoctrination of children. And I'm sure that it would be confusing to children to teach them about religion. So how is that any different than this video if you're saying that it's indoctrination? So the hypocrisy is astounding.
So notice also that there has been a different sort of approach to why kids are supposed to be told about this stuff. So it used to be the kids need to be told about this stuff because if you are 5 or 6 years old, there may be a kid in your class who has 2 mommies or 2 daddies, right? That was the original thing, right? This was the what was it? Has 2 mommies. Heather has 2 mommies, right? The Heather has 2 mommies book was a controversy maybe 15 years ago. The idea was you need to teach kids because there might be a kid in the class who doesn't have a mom and a dad, but actually has 2 dads or 2 moms.
This is still the reason why. This is still the reason why it needs to be taught. Because there are people in the world of different sexualities and different sexual orientations, different gender identities, and children need to be taught this because in order for them to gain knowledge about these people and to be respecting towards these people, especially in a heteronormative society like we live in today. And I don't know, it's just teaching children basic respect is what we need.
And now, that was foolish because why would you have to teach every kid in America about this as opposed to just dealing with it when your kid comes home and asks about it? This is a job for parents. But
okay, before he moves on, I want to make this is like a big point he made. Even though he like moved past it, this is a point that I really want to refute. Like as many of you know, people in the LGBTQ community struggle with acceptance, especially amongst parents, because there are many parents that are extremely bigoted and don't accept children that are gay or bisexual or transgender, and there are many parents who have even disowned their children for coming out, and this is a huge problem that we need to deal with. So having your parents just teach you these things, a lot of parents will say, no, this is bad, you shouldn't be gay, you shouldn't be bisexual, it's a sin, especially conservative Christians. And that is actually highly detrimental to people who have these feelings. It'll keep them closeted, it'll keep their feelings held in, which could cause some mental health problems in the future. Which is why we need to have external sources, such as public schools or private schools, whichever, to teach children about these other gender identities and sexualities.
this is no longer directed at the kids' parents. Now, this is directed at children themselves. You, a 5 or 6-year-old, you might identify as a trans kid. You might identify as a drag queen.
You can't identify as a drag queen. A drag queen's like a job title. That's like me saying I identify as a police officer. It doesn't make any sense.
Okay, it's an attempt to indoctrinate confusion into children. That's all it is.
What does that mean? Indoctrinate confusion. That statement literally makes no sense. Indoctrinate confusion doesn't even mean anything. Again, teaching a confusing topic isn't inherently bad. I'm not gonna continue to explain because I've already explained it before, and I'm not gonna repeat myself like he is. Yeah, I mean, this video repeats itself over and over, so I'm not really going to go through the rest of it. It's basically the same thing. If you want to take a look at it, go ahead. But I just want to discuss a more broader topic. It's his pinned tweet on Twitter. Facts don't care about your feelings. The way I see it, this is just an excuse to be a dick. Like, there's no other explanation for it. There's no other reason for this quote. Like, isn't respecting one another the first thing you teach? Like, one of the first things you teach in school? I guess Ben doesn't want to teach his kids basic respect anymore. Like, I don't really understand. Like, for example, why do you call yourself Ben Shapiro? Isn't your real name Benjamin? It's almost like you have a nickname and you prefer to be called that way, even though that's not your objectively true factual name. Like, I'm sure on your birth certificate it says Benjamin Shapiro. If I search up Ben Shapiro, it says Benjamin, whatever your middle name is, Shapiro. It's why are you against calling people their pronouns, their preferred pronouns, but you just say facts don't care about your feelings and I'm gonna be a dick. I can call you what I want. It doesn't make any sense. It's so contradictory. So please, when it comes to LGBTQ plus issues, don't listen to Ben Shapiro. He has no idea what he's talking about. So, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.